Hey everybody, it's Michael Griswold, and continuing in our series on relationship issues is the third big topic that causes a lot of problems for people in relationships, and that is the topic of sex. And it's strange, isn't it, that sex would be such a difficult thing and cause so many problems in relationships because it's something that we all, well, most of us enjoy. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why sex is an issue that causes people conflict, and then what are some simple things that you can do to keep that from happening to you. So first of all, once you dig into it a little bit, it's not hard to see why sex can be such a challenging thing relationally. It's because it really does address the most vulnerable part of you. There's really nothing else that you can do that's more that makes you more vulnerable. When you're giving to another person physically you. And especially for men, speaking as a man, there's a lot of ego wrapped up in that. And if a guy doesn't feel like he's pleasing his woman, it can be a real issue for him psychologically. And I'm sure you can see how that would be difficult to address, right? So it would be difficult for a guy to be like, I just don't feel like I'm good in bed, or whatever. That's just not something that's easy to talk about. And for women, they're giving away themselves with great vulnerability, and the psychology is very similar. What they want to know is, does this mean something to you? Now, there are exceptions, and people, sometimes have gratuitous sex that doesn't mean anything, and that's fine. But I'm talking about mostly in the context of relationships, where people love each other and they care for each other, and what effects that has on their relationship. So the biggest issue is that you have people who are doing something that's very vulnerable and very exposing and involves a lot of their self-image. So in order to what happens is if there isn't communication and if there isn't trust, the other two big relational issues, then sex can just digress into something that's just physical. And again, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you want, then that's great. But if you're wanting to use sex as something that's physical, but also something that makes your relationship more balanced, more vibrant, more passionate, then these other elements need to be included. So, I trust you can understand why sex would be an issue that would cause tension. Mostly because there's a lot of vulnerability, and because of that, it's difficult for people to talk about. Because when we feel vulnerable, we naturally want to protect ourselves. That makes sense. So here's a couple things that you can do. One is to simply take your time. I know this sounds silly, but move more slowly together and listen more. We talked about in the video on communication, we talked about listening to your partner. Well, the same applies with sex. Listen to your partner and ask questions. It might be uncomfortable at first because, again, we are addressing vulnerabilities. However, you'll find that by asking questions and by listening, your partner's a whole lot more receptive to you and a whole lot more willing to give you the information that you want. And be willing to talk about it afterwards. Find out, how was that? Was it good? Did you like that? And if it's too much to ask it directly, kind of make it kind of funny. Hey, on a scale of 1 to mind-blowingly awesome, how was that? And you can kind of take the edge off by just making it joking. Because I know for some people this is a challenging thing to talk about. So to recap, just a couple tips. One is that sex is a challenge relationally because it does involve so much of our identity, so much of our vulnerability. 2 is you can make it more comfortable for yourself and for your partner by communicating more, taking the time, and talking about it during and afterwards. In doing that, you create safety for you guys to discuss things that would otherwise be pretty scary. So, if this information is helpful to you, I mean, this is, these videos have to be very short just because of the way that YouTube works and, the fact that they can only last a certain amount of time. But if this kind of stuff interests you, I am the founder and the creator of ReunitedRelationships.com. And for a limited time, with the purchase of the course that I sell there, I'm offering a one-on-one consult with you about your relationship, whatever it is. Whether it's sex, trust, communication, money, other infidels, whatever it is, you and I would sit down and we'll spend a half an hour. You'll tell me your situation, and I'll give you some custom-tailored advice for you to bring about what it is that you want to see in your relationship. So, if you like what you hear, go to ReunitedRelationships.com, order the course, and once you do, I'll be able to email you and say, hey, I got your order, let's set up a time to talk over the phone. And the people that I've talked to before have found it to be very helpful. Because what happens is, I'm sure you can relate to this, that if you don't have clarity on something, it makes it very difficult to know what to do, obviously. But with clarity comes resolve, and with resolve comes success. So my job in these one-on-ones is to help you develop clarity, and in developing clarity, you can have resolve, and in resolve, you can have success. So this is Michael Griswold from ReunitedRelationships.com. If you like what you hear, go over there. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm releasing new videos all the time in the hopes of allowing you and in your love life to be more robust, more fulfilled, and more passionate. See you later.